Welcome back, foodies. These delicious and soft fluffy bread will take you back to your bakery back home. So let's start off by proofing the yeast, and I'm using 2 packs of active dry yeast. If you are using the yeast from the jar, 1 pack is equivalent to 2¼ teaspoon. Alright, to that I'm going to add a tablespoon of sugar, whether it be brown sugar or granulated sugar. We're going to stir that up and allow it to rise. It will take about 5 to 8 minutes. I just cover it and set it aside, and then I'm moving on to my dry ingredients. You can use all-purpose or bread flour. I'm using bread flour. I added 1 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1½ teaspoon of salt and 4 tablespoons of sugar. I'm just whisking it to make sure that everything is evenly distributed, and then I'm going to add my butter. I have 2 tablespoons of butter flavored shortening, and I'm going to use 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm just going to use my hands to work the butter and the shortening in the flour. By now I'm sure my yeast is proofed, and you'll definitely know because it will look very foamy, as you can see in this clip right here. I'm going to pour it out in my mixer. You don't have to use a mixer if you don't want to. You can just knead it with your hands. I'm just making sure that I scrape everything out. Next, I'm going to add my flour. I'm not adding all the flour all at once. I'm just going to add some of the flour, and then I'm going to add some milk. If you don't want to use milk, you can use water. All right, sometimes I use egg, but most people always say, can we make it without egg? So today I am making it eggless. So now I'm going to add the remaining milk and flour, and I do like when my dough is really soft. It should feel like really tacky to my hands, not really like sticky where I can't manage it, but it should be soft and tacky. All right, that way you know your bread is going to be really soft and fluffy. I'm going to pour in the rest of my flour and my milk, and by mixing and mixing, if it's not soft to my liking, I do add a little bit more milk. So that's why you see me adding more milk right here, because I can already tell that there's not enough liquid in there to make it soft as the way that I want it. But I put the full measurement of the ingredients in the description box. All right, and if you're watching from Facebook, you know it will be in the comment section. So now I'm going to turn it over on my mat, and I'm going to knead it with my hands for about 5 minutes. But before I do that, I'm going to add a little more butter. If you don't want your bread to be buttery, you don't need to add any more butter other than what was added in the mixture. But I do like when my bread is a little buttery. All right, so I'm adding some more butter, and I'm going to knead it for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to allow the dough to rest. I left this one to rest for about 2 hours, but you can do 1 hour. If your house is warm enough, it will be risen in 1 hour. As you can see, look how soft the dough is. That's exactly how I like it. Really nice and soft to the touch. So I'm just going to place it in the same mixing bowl, and in about an hour it will double in size. For this particular dough, it was resting for 2 hours. And as you can see, I am greasing the bowl with some vegetable oil. I also added some on the dough itself. That way, when I'm ready to remove it from the bowl, it's easy to be removed and it doesn't stick to my plastic wrap that I'm going to put to cover it. All right, so I'm going to place it in the bowl, cover it with a plastic wrap, and then I throw a kitchen towel over it, and we're going to leave it in the warmest part of your kitchen because the yeast does not like cold and it won't rise. If your kitchen is cold, you can just put like a hot water bath beside it. That's what I do sometime during the winter. If I'm making bread, I would just put like a hot water bath beside, or in the area where the bread is resting, and it helps to keep it warm. All right, not hot, just warm. So after 2 hours, this is what the dough looks like. It has risen to its potential. The yeast produces the carbon dioxide, which causes the air to trap inside the dough. So you want to just punch it to release all those air bubbles before you roll it out. So I have my loaf pan ready, and I'm going to roll out the dough to the size of my loaf pan. I do have a longer one, but it's narrow, so I prefer to use these. Honestly, this amount of dough can give me 2 long bread, honestly, but I'm gonna force them in these shorter pans. It's just gonna rise up higher than the pan, but that's totally fine with me. These are for my house, But if you want them to look like nice and professional looking, you can just put them in a longer bread pan. And if you want, you can use a kitchen scale to measure to make sure that they're both the same size. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use my judgment. And as you all know, my judgment is always a little off, but that's okay. As long as it tastes good, I'm fine with that. All right, so just roll it out, and then we're gonna just roll it from one end. It's totally visual tutorial, so you can see what I'm doing. It's not so clear in this clip, so I'll do the second one so that you can see better. The camera was at a bad angle, but I'm basically just pinching and rolling, and then I pinch it at the end and tuck. All right, just to make sure that part that I'm tucking, that's going to be the bottom of the bread. You want the top to be nice and smooth. And I'm also going to grease my pan with some coconut oil. You can also line it with parchment paper, or you can use a loaf liner, whichever one you have. You can go ahead and use that, just so to make sure that the bottom of your bread don't burn. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and just roll out the second one so that you can see exactly what I did in case you missed it in the first clip. So there we go, all done. The hardest part of the work is over, and we are going to just set this in a warm environment again and allow it to rise. This would take like 20 to 30 minutes. And I did speed up the process of mine by placing it on a water bath, not inside of it, just on top. It shouldn't be touching the water. All right, and they rise really quick, like 15 minutes, and they were doubled in size. This one that I'm slicing up, I want to put garlic butter on top of it. I like a little garlic butter bread, but the garlic butter that I'm using, it's not strong. You know, the garlic is not too potent in it, so it just gives it a nice hint of garlic taste, and it tastes so lovely. All right, and it has parsley in it as well. For the next one, I'm just brushing on some milk just so that it can get a nice golden top. And I'm going to also sprinkle on some sesame seed. You don't have to fancy it up. You can just go ahead and brush on the milk or butter and just bake it. You don't have to add any seeds, but I just want it to look a little fancy. All right, so there you go. They're all ready to go in the oven, and my oven was preheated at 325 degrees. These take like 20 to 25 minutes to bake. Don't let it dry out. All right, these are perfect. Once the bread start turning golden like this, you know it's ready. So now you want to make sure you brush on your butter right as they come out of the oven so that the butter can just melt into the bread. My house is smelling so good right now. Smelling like Hammond's pastry up in here, or Tantan, or Captain's. Let me know what Jamaican bread is your favorite in the comment section. All right, and don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you made it this far in the video. I really appreciate you. Please drop me a heart in the comment section. All right, thank you so much. Look at that bread, so pretty. And you know you have to be patient right now. You gotta let it cool down before you cut it. You won't get a nice slice if you just cut it while it's hot. I've done it several times because I'm greedy, but you need to let it cool down. I know you like a hot bread, but you don't get a nice slice. I'm gonna go ahead, and the one that is pre-sliced with the garlic butter, I'm gonna go ahead and slice it because I want it nice and hot. Yes, but I'm gonna leave the other one to cool down. This bread is so good, I promise you. So if you're looking to bake in your own bread every now and then, this is a perfect recipe. You can look at the steam coming out of it. It's so soft, it's so hot. I'm just gonna brush on a little more of that garlic butter, and oh my god, it's so good. I really do hope that you found this video useful, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and your family. All right, thank you all so much for watching. As always, stay safe, show some love, and as Miss Lou would say, walk good, and come back for another amazing video. All right, enjoy the rest of your week and have a great weekend.